Hey guys, thanks for joining me on today's episode. I'm glad to see you today. On today's episode, we're going to be revisiting what we went over on a past episode. I'm making a bracket, holder, fixture, whatever you want to call it, for mounting my iPad onto my tripod. In that episode, we made a bracket that mounted the iPad that I used to record all my videos onto this tripod. Well, this was the iPad holder that we had come up with. We made it out of about 16th-inch plexiglass. Well, remember in the video I said it was a little bit brittle? Apparently it is a little bit brittle. This isn't going to work. So we're going to have to revisit this episode, and we're going to be making another tripod, bracket, iPad, holder, whatever you want to call it, out of something a little bit thicker. In this episode I got a piece of sewer drain here that is considerably thicker than the plexiglass, plus it's a little bit different compound than plastic, so it's not going to be so brittle. So we're going to go ahead and get underway on making another iPod tripod mount bracket, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, so we're going to get started. So stay with me. I'll show you what we're up to. Now before we go ahead and throw this broken iPad holder away, we're going to go ahead and take our hardware off. There's no sense in wasting the hardware that we went ahead and purchased. So once we get the hardware taken off, we'll take some measurements on this old holder and get started on a new one. So you're probably wondering how I'm going to take a piece of 6-inch round sewer pipe and turn it into a bracket for holding my iPad on top of my tripod. iPad, tripod. Let's just call this a tripad holder. That'll work for me. Anyway, to build this tripod holder, I'm going to have to go ahead and cut this off at 16¼ inches, and then I'm going to split that piece right down the middle. The next step I'll show you as soon as we're done with this. Now the measurement of the last tripod holder that we had was 16 inches. We're going to have to take into account this is a thicker material and it's going to take more material to make the bends on the ends of the tabs. So we're going to go ahead and cut this at 16¼ inches. 16¼ Now we're going to go ahead and connect the dots. Okay, we have our line drawn. Now there's a couple of different ways that we can go ahead and cut this. The fact of the matter is PVC is a very durable material. You can use just about any of these tools to go ahead and cut it and you'll be okay. Preferably you'd rather use a reciprocating type of saw, like your demolition saw or your sawzall. Me personally, just for the sake of time and ease, I'm going to go ahead and use my table saw just to cut this off real quick. Now this sled we went and made at no cost on another episode. I'm going to go ahead and put a link right up here to that build. If you're interested, go ahead and click on that link. Now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking a stop block and a clamp, and we're going to be clamping it to the side of this sled. So we're going to go ahead, take our pipe, lay it down on our sled, see where the blade falls. Now we have a stop block clamped in place. We're going to be able to go ahead, take this, run it up to the blade, and then turn it on the rest and cut it right where we want with a nice, clean, one-time cut. Stay with me. I'll show you how this is done. Okay, now we have this cut to length and split down the middle. Now we're going to go ahead and start using the heat gun, and we're going to start warming this up and start bending it into shape. So let's go ahead, get our heat gun plugged in, and get this part underway. Heating up this PVC is becoming more of a project than I realized it was going to be. I think I'm going to take this up and stick it in the oven and just heat the whole piece all at one time. Alright guys, I'm back. I got the piece of PVC stuck in here. Let me get my coat off and show you what I got. So we now have a nice straight piece of PVC that we're going to be able to go ahead and cut out and mold into the shape that we want it to be for our tripod holder. Now, the way that I did this, as you saw, I cut it and I split it and I heated it up. I took this up to the house, I put it in the oven for about 5 minutes at 375 degrees. At 375 degrees, this just opened right up, laid out on the oven rack nice, and I had no problems. I used a pot holder, pulled it out, set it right onto the sheet of plywood, took another piece of plywood, stuck it right on top of it, and clamped it into place. And this is the finished product. This is what you see right here. Nice straight piece of PVC. So I'm going to go ahead and get the design drawn out on here, and then we're going to start cutting it out. Now that we have the tripod holder all marked out on here, we're getting ready to cut these waste areas out. Now, I'm going to go ahead and fire up the saw and the microvibratory tool and start cutting these areas out, and I'll be back to talk to you guys some more after I get that all taken care of. Now that we have our main shape cut out, I'm going to go ahead and use the bench sander again just to round down the corners and clean up the little rough edges that I have left on here. Now because we already have this clamped, I'm going to go ahead and drill a hole in the bottom of this to put my hardware through, just because it's already clamped into place, and this is going to help hold this in place as I heat up these tabs and bend them into shape. Now with that hole drilled, I'm going to go ahead and put my hardware in. Okay, the hardware is in. I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of these tabs molded into shape. tabs are bent forward, we're going to go ahead and drill the ports for the camera lens that are going to be showing through this tripod holder in the top left corner and in the bottom right corner right here. Now that these holes are drilled out for the camera, we're going to be able to go ahead and bend these tabs over the rest of the way. Okay, there we go. We have this all molded into the shape that we want it to be in. We got the hardware installed on it. We're going to go ahead now and touch up these spots where the heat gun got a little bit too close with some sandpaper and clean them up, and then we're going to put a nice coat of flat black paint on this just to give it that professional flair that we're looking for. Okay, there's the final product. I got a camera lens hole up here, and I got another one down here so I can have the camera facing forward and have my viewfinder on the back side. I have a cutout right over here on this side for the microphone, or if I flip the iPad upside down, will be the port, and I have the same thing on this other side over here, so I can have the microphone to the port accessible. Alright guys, there you have it. This is my new tripod mount. This is the second run. The first one I made out of plexiglass, and as I said in that first video, it was a little bit brittle. This one I made out of 3/8" PVC sewer pipe, a piece of this stuff right here. It's a piece of 6" pipe, which gave me plenty of material to work with here to put my iPad in. I've had several people ask me, why not just buy an iPad mount? Well, two reasons. Number one, an iPad mount for anything is a couple $100 at least. And number two, I have a lifeproof case on my iPad, and with the lifeproof case on, I can't fit it into any of the mounts without taking the lifeproof case off, which kind of defeats the purpose of having a lifeproof case on my iPad. So anyway, I have this all done. It's all painted. It's all set and ready to go. I have a camera lens hole here and another one down here. It mounts directly onto the tripod with a 1/4" by 20 thread nut. I'm all set to go, guys, so you guys are going to be seeing some more videos from me real soon. I'm going to be able to use this, have some nice steady videos, and hopefully make some better videos for you. Anyway, guys, thanks for joining me. I hope to see you soon on my next episode. Until then, bye-bye.